Now, Greg, let's do the big reveal. What's going on in Charlotte? What are you doing?
Okay, yeah, so this is my own personal investment thesis that I'm sharing with everybody. There is 3 steps on the way out there. Each of the steps I found extra lift. So I'm buying 2 properties by the Amazon facility, real close to the city, 2 properties in Belmont, where the train station is going, and 2 properties in Gastonia. That's my investment thesis for 2019.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah. What do you think about going on the road right now? You know, the thing we're supposed to do after we do the analysis and come out of the clouds is actually get there. You want to go on a road trip?
Yeah.
Let's go on a road trip. All right, let's go. We're going to head out now, and we're going to hit those 3 locations I talked about on the radio show, put our eyes on the actual market itself, and maybe we'll call this the real estate road trip and make this a regular thing. So let's go check it out. We're taking the little mule. I'm going to show you some of the secret elements of this strategy that I think makes it such a winner. And I want to encourage you to do the same kind of thing, right? Real estate road trip. And if you can get yourself a mule, all the better, right? Hey Siri, give me directions to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Getting directions to Charlotte.
All right, so the idea behind this road trip right now is that I've got an investment thesis in Charlotte, and I've got a stash of dollars from the sale of something that I'm going to place in houses. And as people who follow what we're doing know, I think it's all about picking the market. Which house it is not as relevant. I buy the nicest house I can for the price, but I buy it in the right place. And so right now, my research of Charlotte has kind of revealed something that I'm saying is the quad lift thesis, all right? First one is that Charlotte itself is a booming market. It's one of the top 3 or 4 cities in the Southeast that are anchoring all of this inbound migration and capturing all the outbound migration coming out of New York and DC and Boston and Chicago and the upper Midwest to a milder climate, great quality of life, lower cost of living kind of a city. And so what the thesis is that I'm going to walk you through today has to do with the fact that there are 3 different locations outside of uptown Charlotte on its way west that interest me greatly, and I'm actually going to do 2 houses in each of the 3. I'm going to buy 6 houses, 2, 2, and 2, and I'm going to walk you through why I'm doing it, and we're going to verify, because what we're doing right now is part of the boots on the ground research. I'm great with the wizardry of the data and picking the winners and reading the tea leaves on where people are going and why. But then when it comes down to it, you have to go there. If you want to be serious about this kind of stuff, it makes a lot of sense, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to go on the road trip and check the box that you've actually seen the things that are anchoring your investment strategy. So, the town is booming. There's a lot of residential real estate being built, high rises in the town, and so what was already a pretty vibrant workday environment with the Bank of America Tower and this financial services anchor that Charlotte has. And it's one of the reasons why companies that are Wall Street companies, like we're coming into the uptown market now, take a look around. It's a small geographic downtown, but it's really sweet. It's got a minor league baseball, but the Panthers Stadium and the Hornets Arena, so NBA, NFL, and you can see the cranes over there. This is the downtown skyline, and you've got a lot of the building is not, I mean, most of it is not office. I don't think any of it's really office. It's all residential. So uptown Charlotte is becoming a very, very hot city for young professionals. And it's one of these things where you're seeing announcements happen all the time, where companies announce that they're moving. Honeywell was the most recent, moving out of their New Jersey facility. I want to say 350 jobs. A lot of these companies that have 1,000 employees in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, or whatever, move 50 down here, and then all the rest of them come, because it is a very easy recruiting conversation to have with somebody like, hey, let's get you out of New Jersey, where it's crowded and super expensive and only getting worse, and bring it down to uptown, where you've got this is actually a great day for it, a glass skyline. And you know, the cost of high-rise real estate in this town compared to New York is not even in the same league. All right, so here's the Panther Stadium right there. What's cool about going to games here, by the way, is that I've gone to a couple of games every season since I moved down here, and I decide, like on game day, whether the weather's nice and I feel like it, and then I go on StubHub and buy tickets cheap. I've been to playoff games that I bought game day, like $250 for 20th row, 50-yard line. It's like, it's an expansion market, so it's not like you have to wait 3 generations to get a seat in Giant Stadium.
Guys like that, does he buy it to just resell it, or is he an investor?
Your home sold or I'll buy it. That is a real estate agent for, I don't know what the name of the company is, I can't read it. He's a real estate agent, and that's a gimmick. Real estate agents who will buy your home if we don't sell it. The price they'll buy it for, guaranteed in the fine print, is a relatively low price. They'll sometimes set I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just saying it's the reason why people who sell real estate for a living should think about being an investment broker. Because when you're resorting to gimmickry, there's 3 of those in every city in America, where they talk about it in a conference. Ooh, do the whole, if I don't sell your house, I'll buy it. And you don't buy any houses, really. But you got to come up with something to say on your billboard. Our people are going to be winning business because they know more about investing in real estate than anybody else in town. And they have better tools and technology, and they have a marketing campaign that attracts people to them, and they're part of the largest property management company in the country. So the one thing that keeps most would-be investors from doing it, or most investors that have one or two from buying 3 and 4, is that they hate the management and they're intimidated by it. So the fact that we actually have that handled better than anybody in the country means that we're starting off on the high diver here. All right, so we're here in uptown Charlotte. Behind me, you see kind of the epicenter of the whole commercial district. Bank of America Tower over there, that's another one of them. So now we're going to head due west, and we're going to show you this investment thesis. Hey Siri, give me directions to Enderley Park, North Carolina.
Getting directions to Enderley Park, Charlotte.
The real estate this close to Charlotte is literally a 5-minute drive to uptown Charlotte and a 1 or 2 minute drive to Amazon. And the real estate around here, a house that's in perfect condition, these houses are $125,000 already renovated, ready to go. They're $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 when they need renovation. I'm going to let somebody else go buy the house for 75 grand, put 35 in. I'm going to pay them 125, 130 for it. So they're going to make $25,000 profit for their troubles. I'm going to buy a house that's already been renovated. I'm going to put a tenant in there, and we're going to put it over at Renter's Warehouse for management. As you come through this neighborhood, realize that we came off of a commercial strip with stores. I'm right on the other side of the neighborhood. Maybe there's 150 houses in this neighborhood. It's buffered by commercial real estate on 3 sides, which means it is not a very deep neighborhood. There's only 100 so houses, and an investor can buy a few, and along with other investors, rapidly turn the neighborhood around where each of the houses that are dilapidated are getting fixed up and then rented out and occupied. And so the percentage of the neighborhood that was in bad condition is rapidly being supplanted by the part of the neighborhood that's in perfect condition. All right, so check this out. This is a neighborhood being built. This is right up my alley here, okay? Brand new houses. I didn't know, this is the reason why you get in the car and you go. You wouldn't find this necessarily elsewhere. You wouldn't find this on Zillow. You wouldn't find this on the website. You wouldn't know that you can see Amazon from here. All right, you only get that kind of intel, that kind of human intel, by being on the ground. So check this out. We come around here. They're building what looks like no fewer than maybe 100 homes here. They all look like going to be 3-bedroom houses for working class families. But this makes me so happy to have discovered this, because I would have missed it maybe. And there it is, right there in the distance. The mothership. Right, so we left Charlotte about 10 minutes ago, and in about 15 minutes we'll be in Gastonia. The thing I like about Gastonia is that as you go outside a metro area, any metro area, the further you get away from the center of the city, the cheaper it gets. But some places develop faster than others, and so, for example, if you go north, east, or south of Charlotte, the prices of a house 30 minutes away are pretty similar. Most expensive south and north, less expensive east and west, and we're heading west. So what I liked about this town, I'll show you in a minute, is that it's very rude, okay? Charlotte metro area is growing, population is growing. When you have a feature of your town that is your houses are less expensive, that's a good feature to attract people. And so it gets points simply for that alone. And then when we get there, I'll show you something else that jumps out at me, which has to do with the gentrification of what is kind of a little bit of a dinged up rural downtown that's turning around. So we're pulling into downtown Gastonia now. And so whenever you pull into a town like this, you know, that's been around for a long time, you see the town fathers and town mothers from many, many moons ago had their houses just in the outskirts of town, and now you're coming in to the commercial area. This section of the commercial area, what jumps out at you? For lease, a lot of for lease, but this is the kind of the low-rise stuff. The quaint downtown is what's coming out. That's what I really want to show you. But, you know, a fair amount of vacancy. You know what you're looking at when you see vacant stores. You're seeing an economically suppressed, I wouldn't call it depressed, but I'd call it suppressed. Places that once thrived, I kind of feel like they want to thrive again. They're predisposed to thrive again. But if you get a good government that just stays out of the way and encourages people to bring money in, that could be a state government, federal government, but also local. Local governments have say over the zoning, and if someone's going to get approved to take this building and tear it down, do something else with it, they have to get approval for that. So if the town works quickly, it makes it easy to get the permits and everything. Those little things matter. Then you can actually learn a lot about that just by showing up at a planning board meeting, which is a town meeting where they'll consider proposals for people that want to do things with buildings, and you'll be able to judge as to whether they have respect for people that are working in real estate development, real estate investment, or if they don't. If they don't, they make their lives harder gratuitously, and if they do, you can tell. Here we go. So here's Main Street, or Main Avenue. So here we go. Here's the quaint downtown. For rent, another one, for rent. Now, if these were all for sale, it makes me more nervous. It means nobody's putting their money in, but I see a lot of for rent. I see a lot of for rent on places that appear to have been recently fixed up. Not a lot, but every fifth store, right? You got some businesses and you got some recently renovated storefronts up and down the way. So, you know, again, use your common sense. What does that mean? That means somebody else already bought it. So somebody who presumably is a smart person, no reason to assume they're dumb, they got enough money to invest in real estate, they got to be doing something right? Well, they've made a decision that these properties are worthwhile to purchase. They put the money into them, and they're putting it back on the market. Here's something in the process of being renovated right here. All right, so I'm not interested in buying these kinds of properties. And the reason is that retail real estate has some stuff working against it, all right? Amazon is one of them. The business climate here doesn't have to be so robust. It just has to be a town that services the community. The business climate in greater Charlotte is what I'm concerned about. And so as I look around, I like seeing the downtown getting revitalized, but it's not going to be my money that does it. I'm going to just go ahead and go a couple miles into the suburbs over here, and I'm going to buy single family houses. Because the folks that are going to have dinner here, they're going to go to the pharmacy here, are going to live out there, and they're probably going to go to work in Charlotte. And maybe at Amazon. The Amazon facility is an anchor to this whole strategy, because when you add 2,500 jobs in a place, it matters to the place. The housing, every one of those employees needs a place to live. And so I'm just going to go out into the grid here and wind my way through some of the neighborhoods. Nate, you know how many people are dead in that cemetery?
I have no idea.
All of them. I'll be coming back here looking at houses on another road trip. But for today, it's just check the box. Here we go. Beat up house, not for me. Not so beat up, maybe. Show me one that's already been fixed up and I'm in. Right? That's what I'm looking for. I want the house that some other investor already bought, already fixed, and is going to sell to me. He or she is going to make a tidy little profit, and then I'm going to rent it out, and I'm going to make the profit long term. Right? Modest 3-bedroom. By the way, 3 bedrooms important. Take a moment to note that. The reason 3 bedrooms is important is that the market to buy 2-bedroom houses is not that great. The market to rent 2-bedroom houses is terrific. But the market to buy 2-bedroom houses is not so great. And even though I don't plan to sell these ever, the value of them depends upon the demand for them. And so, look down that row there. There's a good little example of the kind of housing stock in this town. Even if you don't plan to sell a property ever, the value of the house next door and the house across the street is mainly driven by home buyer interest. Right? It's one of the quirky things about the housing investment market is that investors are still a minority share of the total overall market, so the property values of the overall market is mainly driven by home buyers. And home buyers don't love 2-bedroom houses. And so you can see a town where the 3-bedroom houses are rising. In fact, I would expect a town that's got a mix of 2, 3s, and 4s, that the 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms would rise at a faster pace than the 2 bedrooms because the demand for them is really only investors. And that means the demand for your product is thinner, and that's going to have an effect on suppressing the prices. One of the reasons why there's a lot of 2-bedroom neighborhoods in the South is that the mills, the cotton mills that populate rural and suburban North Carolina. There was a time not long ago that every town in North Carolina was rural, right? A little small town USA kind of a scene. The mills were the anchor of employment, and what the mills often did was they'd have a mill with hundreds of employees, and they would build employee housing. So there's these neighborhoods that are little tiny bungalows, almost like an apartment with 4 walls right after each other, one after another, I should say. And they're cool, and they're actually kind of enticing, but they're not going to get me. I'm staying away from them for the reasons I just gave you. All right, so I'm going to probably wind up buying further down into the neighborhoods down here, not as close to town. I don't need to pay for the walkability to town. I don't mind going a little bit further out because, as I said, I think most people here are going to go to town. Driving is fine. They're not going to walk to town to work. They're going to drive to Charlotte to work, or they're going to drive to the facilities near the airport, including Amazon. All right, so now we're heading back out of Gastonia. So Charlotte metro area. Right in the middle is Charlotte Uptown, where we started. We came all the way out to Gastonia. Now we're heading back in again. Next stop is Belmont. Belmont is interesting because it splits the difference between here. It's about 15 minutes from here and 15 minutes from Uptown Charlotte. And you'll see why I like it, and I'll explain when I get there. Hey Siri, give me directions to Belmont, North Carolina.
Getting directions to Belmont.
All right, so we're coming into Belmont now, and where we are right now is a more fully gentrified, quaint town that never went out of style. Some people might have heard of Belmont Abbey. Belmont Abbey is a very famous chapel. It's got a college built around it. So here we go. As you come into the downtown, the houses get real nice, right? This was the quaint suburb outside of Charlotte for many, many, many decades, and it never fell out of favor at all. All right, so as you start checking out this downtown, one of the things you'll notice that makes it different than Gastonia is that none of the stores are vacant. None of the buildings sort of are hearkening back to a better day. This place has never lost favor. Every store, I think, is occupied. It's got cool little hip things like that. I guess that's like a bar with a second level. Got your downtown over here. And then right at the end over here, you've got a little bit of magic, and that is that the light rail in Charlotte, it's being talked about that the light rail is going to go here. And so right around here is going to be a train station that's going to bring you, see me over my shoulder there? A train station that's going to bring you to uptown Charlotte in like 15 to 20 minutes. That has not been fully approved. I'm paying close attention to it to make sure when it does, I know. But the price in this town of a house already reflects the idea that that's coming. And so if you ask yourself the question, well, Greg, why are you into, I mean, if this is a nicer town and it's never been out of style, and Gastonia still has a little gentrification to go, why don't you just double down on Belmont? And the answer is I might, but I think right now my instinct says spread it out a little bit. I'm going to get a higher yield out there. So if I take this strategy of going a couple houses in Gastonia, higher yield, take a little more risk, but I'm not worried about it. Go a little closer into Belmont. You've got bedrock here in Belmont because this town is swank. Still not expensive by the standards of swank elsewhere, but you have the extra lift. If we get a train station in here, I don't mind buying property where the prices have already been impacted positively by a coming train station, because the minute that is sealed and delivered, the prices are going to pop again. And the minute that it actually opens up and people are taking a train from here, everything within striking distance of this location is going to be hot. Now here, I would buy these properties if they had apartments above. Okay, properties in downtown that have retail, known as mixed use. If there's, look at that City Hall. If they have mixed use, what I've got to do when I come back here is go knock on the door and say hello. We just don't have time. And there's a police officer who's also a great person to have a conversation with if he doesn't mind. All right, so this is a fully built out town. As we zip around through the neighborhoods, I'll just zoom in here and show you the map. You can see that all around here where the streets get kind of dense, that's where the neighborhoods are. And as I get a little further out of town, walkable to the train station is going to be a gem. If I can pull that off, I just might pay up for a walkable to the train, because that's the kind of thing where would somebody pay $100 a month more in rent to be walkable to the train? Well, when there's only one house for rent that is, they will. And so you can take a yield and press it, because you're not gouging. You're just saying, hey, if you really want to be able to walk to work, walk to the train, hop on, get off in uptown Charlotte and walk to your job. If you want that experience, it's going to cost you a bit more. People will pay that because of how scarce it is. So look to your left over here. I'm not going to go too deep in the neighborhoods, but picture that. There are neighborhoods all around here that's what the houses look like. They're little single-story brick or wood houses, 3 bedrooms, quaint as can be. All right, so now as you look over here, what does that look like over there? It looks like a mall, but it's not a mall, but it is a mall. That is the new Amazon distribution center. 2,500 employees. We're right at Charlotte Airport. See the airplane taking off over there. We're at Charlotte Airport. This is a massive 1 million square foot facility, give or take. That's the size of a mall. It's going to have all the products of a mall. The only thing it's not going to have is you and me. We don't go in there, they bring it to us. So being so close, this is the reason why this whole trajectory west of Charlotte has me excited, because an anchor like this, the jobs, 2,500 of them, the jobs are going to pay between $35,000 and $60,000 a year. Those are prime renters. And the neighborhoods that we were excited about first, the ones that are right outside the city, are the lowest price real estate we're going to be looking at. So this 3-step process, coming out of uptown Charlotte, hitting right next to, like literally a mile away from that Amazon facility, is the first stop. Going a little bit further out to Belmont is the next stop, a little more expensive. And then all the way out to Gastonia is the 3rd stop. The strategy is pick up 2, 4, 6 properties this year along that line, diversify, but all of it is anchored by Amazon going to that location. So now we've kind of completed the journey here. We come around the bend and you're going to see there's uptown Charlotte.